And we're live on a Monday night following Monday Night Raw. What's going on, members of the J area? My name is Jose Ramos Jr. Welcome back to another edition of the late night live stream with yours truly. I'm hoping everyone has had a good Monday, and hopefully your week is getting off to a wonderful start. I know mine is, because I'm being able to spend this time here with all of you talking about pro wrestling. I hope everyone's doing well. We're in an eventful episode of Monday Night Raw. You know, the Netflix era of Monday Night Raw off to a raucous start. I mean, constant stars revolving through the door that is Monday Night Raw. We just saw the opener. Of course, Logan Paul was there, interrupting Seth Rollins and Gunther for what is shaping up to be one of the more stacked, Royal Rumbles in recent history. You look at the stars that are involved. Guys like Roman Reigns, CM Punk, John Cena, Rey Mysterio, just to name a few, and many more who have announced, they've declared their participation in the Royal Rumble event. I would love to hear from you guys in the chat in terms of who you think will be the winner of the Rumble. It could be the men, could be for the women, but go ahead and sound off in the chat below and let me know what are some of your predictions in regards to the Royal Rumble event. I know it's one of my favorite events of the year. It's really become the all-star event for the WWE. We've seen other stars announce their participation, individuals, of course, like Penta, Chad Gable, LA Knight, Jey Uso, Drew McIntyre. Last time I checked, I think maybe a third of the field has already been announced for both the men and the women's Royal Rumble. Shout out to Muhammad there in the chat. What's going on? Hope you're having a good night. Appreciate you stopping by, of course, for the Monday night live stream. Says, I hope you're doing well. I am. Likewise, I hope you're doing well as well. And the same with everyone here in the live chat. Always well wishes from Muhammad, and we wish you the best as well, my friend. Appreciate you spending your time here, spending your night with us in the J area on the live stream. We're talking about Monday Night Raw and what's going on during the road to WrestleMania. Of course, the first stop is the Royal Rumble event. We had some more announcements as to who will be involved in this year's Royal Rumble, and we're looking for some predictions. We're looking for some people's perspective on who they think or who they want to win the Royal Rumble. Appreciate the hearts in the chat there. Appreciate the hearts. I see those. Even big news outside of the Royal Rumble, outside of the WWE, we see a new signing headed towards the WWE's way, but we'll get to that in a moment. I still want to talk about Monday Night Raw and what we had seen. There was a lot of things that happened. We know that Seth Rollins opened up the show talking about he wants to win the Rumble and challenge for the World Championship. He even, referenced Cody Rhodes, saying how ironic would it be if he were able to face the man, Cody Rhodes, that he helped win the WWE title just a year prior. How poetic, how ironic would that be? I would certainly sign up for that matchup. They had 3 bangers back in 2022. That was at WrestleMania, Backlash, and of course, the Hell in a Cell matchup that, of course, is remembered for being the match where Cody competed with a torn pec. A gruesome injury, a gruesome imagery that WWE fans surely will remember for the rest of their time. But I would sign up for that. He also referenced maybe the possibility of facing off against Gunther, the world champion, who holds the title that Seth Rollins was the inaugural champion for. So that, of course, would be a matchup that would have a lot of intrigue amongst wrestling fans. But he would be interrupted by the social media megastar Logan Paul, who we hadn't seen in quite some time. We've heard some rumblings that he would be making his return around this time for the Royal Rumble, but we haven't really seen a healthy dosage of Logan Paul since he lost the U.S. Championship to one LA Knight. Now, the prospect of Logan Paul facing off against Gunther for the World Championship has been heavily discussed on the internet. For those who are on Twitter or those who are on the social media sites, it has been something that's been a talking point, but they really introduced that idea today on Monday Night Raw, and seeing the interaction between Gunther and Logan Paul, yeah, it makes for entertainment. It's a good little side piece of a story for the Ring General to carry on his probably lengthy title reign as the world champion. But I don't know if that's the direction we're going to go for WrestleMania. It's a huge event, WrestleMania 41, emanating from Allegiant Stadium, the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. And it's no disrespect to Logan Paul, not in the slightest. But is that who we're going to see face off against Gunther? I don't think he's going to win the Rumble, per se. There's a lot of talent in this year's Rumble. What I love about this year's Rumble is there's so much talent, it's very difficult to pinpoint who is going to win. I think the top 3 predictions for the possible winner of the men's Rumble are an even, Cena, Punk, Roman. I don't think Roman wins, but someone of his caliber could certainly make an argument and win that matchup. If you ask me, it's between Cena and Punk. I think those are the 2 guys. I will say, I don't think we get a first-time winner. I think we get an established star who's willing to punch their ticket to the main event of WrestleMania 41. I would love to see a guy like Jey Uso and Sami Zayn get that opportunity, but I think it's going to be saved for a later date. I don't think we're going to pull that trigger just yet. So, is Logan Paul primed for a world title matchup? More likely, he just got done with that U.S. title reign like we talked about in the mid-card. And the most commonly taken route here is to go from the mid-card to the main event scene. Now, does he do that against Gunther? That is yet to be seen. Aside from that, on Monday Night Raw, we did see a tag team title matchup. It was the Judgment Day's JD McDonough and Dirty Dominic Mysterio attempting to defeat the War Raiders for their tag titles, which they had just won, defeating JD and Finn Balor not too long ago. This matchup was really notable for what happened to JD McDonough. For those who are just joining us in the live stream, this is following Monday Night Raw. And if you haven't seen the matchup, I'm sure it's all over social media. Either that or on YouTube, or if you have Netflix, check it out. But JD McDonough, there's a moment in the matchup here where he hits a moonsault coming out of the ring. And I believe it was on Ivar. If not, it was probably both of them, if my memory serves. And he kind of hits the announce desk. But the way his back hits the announce desk, it ricochets his neck back. So the back of his head essentially hits the announce desk, and the whiplash provided to his neck was a nasty sight. It was something that surely caught a lot of people's attention, as I'm sure it would. It's been all over Twitter. That's all I've been seeing. So big shout out to JD McDonough, who was able to finish that matchup. But there's also pictures, coming on Twitter, where apparently he made his way towards the back and collapsed right outside of Gorilla, right by the curtain. And for those people who are in the vicinity and able to take pictures of Gorilla, you can actually see that JD McDonough had collapsed. So hopefully all is well. Shout out to Tyler. What's going on, Tyler? Thank you for joining the live stream. And yeah, you got a membership. On yesterday's live stream, we were able to gift 5 special memberships to our loyal members of the J area, and you've been upgraded to the Main Event Mafia. So welcome to the team. Welcome to the Main Event Mafia. Hopefully you'll stay and enjoy as you get exclusive content like videos, posts, shorts, and other exclusives that others don't have access to. So big shout out to Tyler as well. And he even Tyler gets access to the emojis there for the live stream, and I love it. I love it. You and Gabs have been the ones to have used them. I believe Alex was another one that had used it. So big shout out to you guys for making use of those emojis. And we're looking to add more. It just gives me a certain amount that I can use for now, but as the channel continues to grow, we can add more to it. So I'm looking real forward to that as well. Big shout out to Tyler and to Muhammad for joining us here in the chat on a Monday night live stream. Add Roman Reigns. He's up next. Him and Cody are definitely next. For sure. When we are able to, you better believe we'll have them up there. And speaking of Roman Reigns, the big news surrounding WWE 2K25, the poster boy, the cover athlete for 2K25, the OTC, the original, the only tribal chief, Roman Reigns will be on the cover. Of course, that's for the standard edition. They will have the Bloodline edition, and of course, the Undertaker Deadman edition. So we here at the J area are looking forward to that. We're going to be getting that edition of 2K25. It's just a matter of which cover we're going to be getting. So I want to hear from you guys. Are you guys excited about the WWE 2K25 cover athlete, Roman Reigns? Should it have been someone else? Are you guys happy with the decision to elevate Roman Reigns back to the cover athlete? Because if memory serves, he was the cover athlete for 2K20 alongside the man Becky Lynch for WWE 2K20. So really looking forward to that. Big news for him. The only thing that kind of sucked was he wasn't there. Paul Heyman, the wise man, was there to deliver the news. But I mean, who's going to get upset over Paul Heyman's appearance? He's one of the all-time greatest. I think he's probably the greatest manager of all time. And one of the greatest physical characters in professional wrestling. His imprint on the industry of pro wrestling cannot be argued. ECW, his time in WWE, the managerial services for individuals like Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, CM Punk, amongst others, surely one of the greatest wrestling minds that this business has ever seen. Tyler says, I can't wait for WWE 2K25. I'm right with you. Right with you. Can't wait for it. It's just a matter of what cover. You know, the Bloodline, the Roman Reigns, or the Dead Man Edition all look fantastic. I'm a big fan of the 2K series. I think they do a great job in terms of their simulation of professional wrestling video games. I know some people may not be a fan of it, but I am. Hopefully you guys are as well. If you're just joining us here on a Monday night, I was going to say a Friday night, but if you're joining us here on a Monday night live stream, we're following Monday Night Raw and just talking pro wrestling. Of course, if you're new, my name is Jose Ramos Jr. Welcome to the live stream. We talk pro wrestling, amongst other things as well. These live streams are a great opportunity to open up the discussion to our members of the J area as well as the members of the Main Event Mafia. So hopefully you'll stay and enjoy your time with us and here and hanging out. Martin, what's going on? Thank you for joining us in the live stream. Says, what did I miss tonight? I have not been able to watch Raw live. It was a good episode of Raw. You know, depending on who's your favorite. There was quite an eventful Monday Night Raw. We opened up with Logan Paul interrupting Gunther and Seth Rollins, who were just talking about the prospects of a WrestleMania matchup. Of course, Seth Rollins wants to win the Rumble, wants to get a title match against a guy like Cody Rhodes or maybe even Gunther. And then out comes Logan Paul, who declares his entry in the Royal Rumble, and he says he wants to win the Rumble and face off a guy like Gunther, which Gunther kind of entertained and said, you know what, I kind of want you to win the Rumble. That way I can slap the smile off your face. So typical Logan Paul antics and a Gunther response that got the crowd popping. There was a tag team title matchup. The War Raiders defeated the Judgment Days, Dominic Mysterio and JD McDonough. Tyler says, I got my friend his Netflix account. Right on. Right on. Never miss an episode of Monday Night Raw. Aside from that, we saw Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez get the upset victory over the tag team champions, Bianca Belair and Naomi. So look for a future title opportunity there. We know that Bianca and Naomi are going to have a title match tomorrow on NXT. Will they be able to survive that matchup? We'll have to wait and see. Watch NXT to make sure and see if they're going to be the champions, because Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez certainly have the argument here that they should be in line for a tag team title match as well. In other news, we talked about WWE 2K25. Roman Reigns is going to be on the cover. We're super excited to see that. You know we're going to be playing that on the channel whenever that comes out. I believe it's in like mid-March. Have to double check on that. Shout out to Gabs in the chat. Gabs is here, ladies and gentlemen. We love it. And Gabs is using the CM Punk emoji, one of my all-time favorites. Read my comments. Oh, I missed it, Tyler. My bad, Tyler. Tyler says it's true that in 2K25, Ad City to his game, like, oh, are you in reference that it's going to be like an open world like NBA 2K25? I've heard the reports. I don't know if that's factual or not. That certainly would be an interesting addition to the WWE 2K25 line. I think it'd be cool. Don't know if it's going to actually happen, though. We have to wait and see. I know there's a teaser that had came out tonight. I actually haven't caught it. Though. Have you seen the ending to Black Baron versus Shirati? I have not. I have not caught the ending there, AJ. Haven't caught the ending there. We just ended up watching Monday Night Raw, discussing what happened there. Hopefully everyone's having a great night on a Monday evening or on a Tuesday morning, depending where you are at. The Royal Rumble is just around the corner. We're opening the discussion up to you guys. Any questions or comments about the WWE or just in general? It's all relative. We're all open here. We also got big news outside of the WWE, or I guess going into the WWE. Jordynne Grace, one of TNA's premier stars, is on her way to the WWE. With the partnership between Total Nonstop Action and the WWE, we saw a lot of crossover between stars like Wes Lee and the Rascals of TNA, Jordynne Grace. We saw Joe Hendry a bunch. So it's certainly a wonderful time to be a pro wrestling fan, because there was a long time ago where WWE was not friendly with other promotions. They had a little bit of a relationship with Extreme Championship Wrestling in the 90s. Shout out to my friends in the chat who remember that. But now they're opening up a partnership with Total Nonstop Action, so that opens the door for a lot of crossover. And we knew that Jordynne Grace's contract was coming up, and it was only a matter of time before the Juggernaut made the jump to the WWE. For those who are not familiar with Jordynne Grace, one of their premier stars, won the TNA Knockouts Championship 3 occasions, a former tag team champion, a former digital media champion. Those who are members of the Main Event Mafia got a quick little reaction from me as to what I felt about Jordynne Grace's arrival to the WWE. So if you are a member of the Main Event Mafia, please feel free to check out that video. It's already uploaded on the channel. And if you're not a member of the Main Event Mafia, please consider doing so. That way you can become like an exclusive member of the Mafia and get access to content that you normally wouldn't get on any other day. But it's a huge addition for Jordynne Grace. Of course, if you're familiar with the live streams, I've said that I am very familiar with TNA from like the 2008 to 2010 run. That was a sweet spot where I was watching. And then from there, it was kind of in and out. So I've seen some of Jordynne Grace's matches. I've seen her matches against Tessa Blanchard recently at Genesis. Of course, her rivalry with Slamovich, Mickie James, Trinity. The WWE got a huge star here. Now, the question is whether or not that Grace is going to be on the main roster or NXT. She already has a sense of familiarity with NXT because of her appearances at the events last year, having the matchup against Roxanne Perez, the 10-woman tag match in the ECW arena. So it'll fit like a glove if she just goes right into NXT. Could she make it to the main roster? Yeah. I think she's definitely that type of a talent who could adapt to it, but it's that sense of adaptation that is needed. Look at a girl like Zarya, Stephanie, Julia, all tremendous talents, but they're making a pit stop here at NXT to just get more accustomed to the WWE style and get warmed up to the main event roster as well as the audience to get familiar with them. And it's already a stacked roster. The NXT women's roster is just stacked top to bottom. Tyler says, I can't wait until this weekend. I can't wait for the Royal Rumble either. It's going to be a great show. It's going to be a fantastic show. 4 matches on the card. The Royal Rumble for the men, for the women. A tag team title matchup between DIY and the Motor City Machine Guns in a 2 out of 3 falls count. 2 out of 3 falls? I mean, dude, I'm ready for that. And of course, the WWE title in a ladder match, Cody versus Kevin. Probably going to be the last time we see this matchup for quite some time. I'm thinking this is going to be it. The rubber match, right? Cody's won the first 2. But who knows? Maybe we'll pull a swerve here. Keep an eye out, too. I'm going to have my predictions video for the Royal Rumble later this week. AJ in the chat. Dude botched a shooting star press, fractured his skull, and he kicked out a 3 count for no reason because Black Baron pinned him. Just to end it for safety reasons, of course. Wow, no, I haven't actually seen that. So he botched a shooting star and fractured his skull. That's wow. And of course, they're going to try to go home. They're going to try to end the matchup there. Of course, like you mentioned, for safety reasons. And he still kicked out. He kicked out a 3 for no reason because Black Baron pinned him just for... And, that's the risk. We talked about this on a previous live stream, a couple days ago, when there's a lot of people who try to criticize pro wrestling for being, the F word. They say it's fake. And it's like, dude, is it predetermined? Is it scripted? Sure. But the risk that these athletes, that they're taking are very much real. Appreciate you, Gabs. Oh man, I appreciate you so much, Gabs. Thank you so much for the super chat. Gab says we enjoy all your product. Can't wait to see all the new surprises you have planned for us. It's a work in progress, and I'm trying to get more people, excited and interested in the Main Event Mafia, and we're getting there. I mean, we're building there, and it's awesome. I love to see the growth. It's very encouraging and reassuring to see the investment because I've been investing in this for quite some time, and to see it be reciprocated by, quite frankly, people I never met in real life. You guys are all seeing me through a screen. And to see that level of investment and interaction between you guys, man, you guys are the best. You guys are the best. This would not be possible without each and every one of you. Big shout out to Gabs for that super chat. Sanford 5, what's going on? Welcome to the live stream. They asked what's poppin', y'all. Nothing much. Nothing much. AJ says, would you ever consider playing 2K15 to 19 games again? It's been a minute. I mean, yeah, because we've gone on a little journey here. We played the original SmackDown versus Raw. Of course, we've played the recent 2K24, and we do have all the wrestling games, all the WWE games specifically, with the exception of like 2K20 and 2K22. I think are the only two we don't actually have. But aside from that, yeah, little by little, we're kind of reintroducing the games. We have it on our Sunday stream. Our Sunday streams are usually where we are, showing some gameplay, hanging out, and just reminiscing for the old games as well as any other type of content, really. Sunday's a fun day, really. Tyler says, I got a question for you. When you make Discord server for membership and subscribers too. That's funny that you mentioned that, Tyler. I am in the process of doing that. I've kind of tried to take inspiration from other content creators, specifically those who discuss pro wrestling. And I know Discord is a popular form of, communication that they use for their memberships. I don't know if, hopefully you guys are familiar with like Santi Zap, who is also a pro wrestling content creator. He has an exclusive Discord. So I am in the process of doing that. Upon the creation of the Main Event Mafia, I wanted to be able to include more interaction from you guys. These live streams, I think, are a great chance for us to connect more so through the chat, but with Discord, it has that opportunity to expand even more. So bear with me. Again, we're still working on that out. But yeah, Discord, it definitely is on the table. But you ask for membership and subscriber too. I think I would make that exclusively for the membership, just because it allows more of an intimate and close relationship with those in as a member of the Main Event Mafia. Because what I want to do with the membership is really bring you guys in even more. I mean, I feel like we're close already as it is, thanks to these live streams. But with the Main Event Mafia, you're able to get more of an in-depth look into what I think about pro wrestling or just in life in general. It's really like a behind the scenes. That's what I try to do. It's less of editing and more of like a raw, no pun intended, because it's Monday night, but more of like a raw take on the content that we produce here. So we're looking for more shorts, videos. I'm probably doing once a week, but we all are also thinking about expanding to other stuff for the Main Event Mafia. AJ says, I hope the Eagles channel their inner Brock Lesnar next Sunday. Man, the Super Bowl, I'm always excited for the Super Bowl. Huge fan of football. For those who don't know, San Francisco 49ers, that's the team. Tyler, I'm still a fan of yours, even though your picture's the Kansas City Chiefs. No disrespect there. But this year's Super Bowl will be a rematch of a couple years ago. I believe it was Super Bowl 56, if I'm not mistaken. No, 57. It was Super Bowl 57, where it was the Eagles versus the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are looking to complete the three-peat, something that's never been done in pro football. The closest ones, I mean, you look at the Green Bay Packers, who won the first two Super Bowls. The San Francisco 49ers tried doing it back in 1990. The Patriots were another one. But the Chiefs are really on the cusp of completing that three-peat. They've won, 3 Super Bowls already, because it was 54, 57, 58. They're trying to win their 4th Super Bowl within the last several years. I'm not a fan of either team. You guys know I'm a San Francisco 49er fan. If I have to pick a team, though, unfortunately, I think Kansas City is winning. I don't know. The wave of momentum that Mahomes and Kelsey and the crew are on top of that, I mean, let's be real. San Fran 5's in the chat, and I know he feels very strongly about the officiating. Everything points in their favor. Don't be surprised if the Chiefs win again. But it is what it is. Will I be watching the game? Absolutely. Of course. Of course. Oops, no, wait, no. AJ says defeat the streak. I really wanted Buffalo to win. I know predominantly we're pro wrestling here, but I do have a lot of other opinions. namely for just pro sports or movies. I'm a big movie buff, as you guys can see over here over my shoulder. Got a big collection there as well. But when it comes to football, it's man, here in this household, we're big fans of football. Basketball as well. I wanted the Bills to win. Fan of Josh Allen. I'm a fan of Sean McDermott, the head coach. And they were able to have a really good season. I think this was their best team to date during this iteration of the Buffalo Bills since the four falls of Buffalo back in the early 90s. And unfortunately, they were not able to do so. I believe Josh Allen's 0-4 against Pat Mahomes now in the playoffs. It's very difficult. It's very difficult because a guy like Patrick Mahomes is going, again, is it the right comparison? Hey, that's for you to decide. But you guys remember Michael Jordan, in the 90s, always in the finals, and never allowed guys like Reggie Miller, Patrick Ewing, an opportunity to win championships because he was just dominating. We're going to see guys like Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow not get to the championship, or the Super Bowl rather, because of a guy like Pat Mahomes. And what I'm afraid of is they win the Super Bowl, they complete the three-peat, they win 4 championships in the last 5 years. They're going to be putting these guys up as one of the greatest teams of all time. And I'm not a fan of recency bias, but that's what it seems like. AJ says, I love the Falcons, but the last Tom Brady Super Bowl was so good. That comeback was wild. I remember that Super Bowl 51 is one of the best Super Bowls I've ever seen. Now, granted, it got ugly. It was a huge lead by Atlanta, 28-3. Of course, everyone remembers that. I remember watching it with my dad and my brother, and they were thinking, it's over. It's over. And I'm like, I don't know, man. Brady is still in there. And if you still got Brady, I think you have a chance. And sure enough, they lead the huge comeback. They win the Super Bowl in what was one of the greatest comebacks in sports history. That Super Bowl goes down, I think, as one of the best in recent memory, maybe of all time. I can't wait for until this weekend, the Royal Rumble, because me and my girlfriend, we are meeting up this weekend, then Super Bowl. Hey, so you got a lineup there going on, Tyler. I mean, the Royal Rumble, spend some quality time with your girlfriend, and then the Super Bowl. It seems like a good time for you, man. I'm happy for you. Hopefully everything ends up well. Hopefully it's a great Rumble. Hopefully you have a good time. As for the Super Bowl, I'm not a Chiefs fan, but I mean, hey, we'll see what happens there. AJ says, I'm a Seahawks Falcons fan, so yeah. How does that work? I always wondered that, actually, because I'm a Niner fan. Die hard. Absolutely. And I can't envision myself saying, okay, I'm a Niner fan and a Bill fan. I'm a Seahawks fan, Falcons fan, so yeah. Lost a lot of money. I can't bet on the Super Bowl. I can't bet, dude. Because once I get going, I get that momentum, I get that false confidence, and then before you know it, boom, we're digging a hole. I like birds. Right on. Right on. So, you going for the Eagles in the Super Bowl? That's what it sounds like. You said you hope they channel Brock Lesnar. So, I mean, hey, at least you're consistent. Right on. I'll give you that. Points for consistency there. My neck is very hurt. Hopefully it heals up. Sorry to hear that, Tyler. Sorry to hear about your neck. Hopefully, that heals up for you and you're able to enjoy the upcoming couple of weeks ahead of you. Just power through that, get through that, and then you're in the home clear and you can enjoy that time that you have set aside. Very active here in the chat. I love it. We've already seen familiar faces and our friends here in the chat. Shout out to Muhammad, Tyler, Martin, Gabs, AJ, of course, San Fran 5. Big shout out to everybody there. Tyler says, I'm yelling at the TV. The game last yesterday. That's the thing, too. So when I'm watching, it's weird, right? You can ask any member of my family. When I'm watching sports, specifically the 49ers. It's like a service. You would think I'm in church because I'm watching it and it's like silent. Now, I'm not opposed to people jumping and cheering. Absolutely. Express yourself. Have the ability to jump up and cheer and boo and whatever. Absolutely. But for me, it's like I'm locked in every single play. I don't celebrate until it's official touchdown. I can't do it because there was a long time period there where I would celebrate, oh, it's a touchdown, and then flag, no more touchdown. Oh, damn. Or you'd be like, oh, it's a 50-yard pass. Oh, awesome. You cheer, and then boom, flag, doesn't count. And I'm like, okay, I'm just not going to cheer until it's official. So I'm not really a yeller when it comes to that. AJ says, yeah, I need Saquon and the tush push to be like Brock Lesnar's 3F5s to The Undertaker. They have a shot. They have a shot, but I don't think they're going to win. Of both teams, Saquon Barkley's the one that I actually like the most. That dude's a monster. He has the argument to be the most valuable player this year. I made myself a turkey wrap. Shout out to San Fran 5. And San Fran 5 can confirm. Gabs, do we know what we're talking about Thursday? No, so we do have the poll up on the community tab, of course. We have our 4 options. So we want to do a little bit of variety. Traditionally, we were talking about the darker side of pro wrestling, which we still do that. But I wanted to open it up to a larger variety. If you want to talk about that, there's an option. If you want to talk about something else, there's an option. We try to open it up that way. It's a little bit of variety for everybody. So for the 4 options this week, if you haven't seen the community tab, take a peek there. We have, of course, the dark side is the plane ride from hell, which is one of the more infamous stories the WWE has had in the last quarter century. It's the plane ride where they went overseas for the Insurrection pay-per-view over in the United Kingdom, and it was a long flight headed back to the States, and a combination of illegal substances and alcohol and a bunch of pro wrestlers who were very restless. That was a lethal combination that led to one of the more dangerous and infamous moments behind the scenes in pro wrestling. So that's a story I'm very much looking into and looking forward to. Aside from that, there was a suggestion made that maybe we should talk about some of the best brother versus brother matchups. This was a suggestion made yesterday during the live stream. I believe it was Martin who had called that out. And so there is an option there to talk about some of the best brother versus brother matchups. There's also one that is in relation to the Royal Rumble, the top 10 Royal Rumble moments of all time. My personal list, that is an option if you'd like to hear my top 10 list there. And the 4th and final option, if memory serves, was just a discussion about some of the most infamous and gruesome pro wrestling injuries. So we have a list of the pro wrestling injuries, a discussion about the best brother versus brother matchups, the plane ride from hell, or of course something Royal Rumble related, and that would be the top 10 Rumble moments of all time, my list personally. So if you want to talk about lists, if you want to talk about stories, if you want to talk about the dark side, if you want to talk about brother versus brother, a little bit of everything for someone. So go ahead and feel free. Please go over to the community tab, place your votes. It'll be locked in Wednesday night, Thursday evening, and we'll know by then. I think currently, as of this live stream, the plane ride from hell is in the lead. I don't know by how much, but the last time I checked, it is in the lead. So either way, I'm looking forward to any one of those topics. Do I like Isaiah Pacheco? He's cool. I like Isaiah Pacheco. We need more name games. WWE. Oh yeah. Are you talking about like the quizzes that we did on the other day? Because I like doing that. I like doing the quizzes, but it's all supply and demand. If you guys are interested into it, I'll for sure do them. I enjoy doing the games, the quizzes online, but sometimes we have to have like designated days. So that could be something for a Sunday, maybe next Monday, or maybe a surprise live stream. I would like to go more live with you guys. So I know Sunday, Monday, and Thursdays, those are the 3 days I try to lock in, and those are the days that we come back together. But on occasion, hey, there might be like a random Friday or maybe a Tuesday, maybe not a Tuesday actually, because I want to give a quick shout out to Sanfran5, who's going to be restarting his live streams on Tuesdays. Of course, you can find the link to his channel at the bottom of my homepage for the YouTube channel, Jose Ramos Jr. You can find it at the bottom. There's a link to his. It is Sanfran5 on YouTube. Show him some love, subscribe, and join on the live stream tomorrow. I believe it's 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. He can confirm this in the chat, but show him some love if you're into gaming. He also has a poll as well, determining what he'll be playing and just a hangout sesh. So if you want to hang out, watch some gameplay, show him some love as well. Penta versus Braun Breaker is going to be lit. Oh, it's going to be a great match. You saw the interaction on Monday Night Raw. I mean, the Intercontinental title on Penta. Whoa. Penta as the IC champion. Fantastic. Love Penta. Tyler says, I just finished making music beats like a few days ago. Right on, man. Keep on grinding. Right on. Hopefully, you're able to achieve your goals and your aspirations when it comes to, the music. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Keep grinding. Tyler's moving up in the world. I mean, Tyler's got a lot going on for him. The Rumble, hanging out with his girlfriend, and Super Bowl, and now making music. I'm happy for you, man. That's awesome. Sanfran5 would greatly appreciate it, guys. Pretty much a Sunday stream, but on a Tuesday. That's right, yeah. Very similar to like what we do on a Sunday, but it would be on a Tuesday. So show him some love. His channel, of course, is Sanfran5. It's literally the link here with his account, with his user. And he has a poll as well where you can select, I believe the options were SmackDown versus Raw, the original from 2004. Or excuse me, not 2004. The SmackDown vs. Raw 2006. SmackDown vs. Raw 2006. SmackDown Shut Your Mouth, which came out in 2002. And then Halo and Resident Evil, both mods. Both modded versions of those. So go ahead and place your votes on his poll, on his channel. I'm going to go ahead and add the link to his channel in the description. Okay, yeah, so if you're interested in his, go ahead and refresh the video. It should be in the link in the description. Or description of the link, I should say. So what are you guys thinking about the Rumble? On Wednesday, that's when I plan to have my predictions for the Royal Rumble event. There's 4 matches currently scheduled. How are we feeling? Women's Rumble, Men's Rumble. Who do we think should win? Who do we want to win? I know we all have our preferences. We all have our favorites. I'm very interested to see where you guys are at in terms of your support, in terms of who you are interested in to get a main event opportunity for a championship of their choosing at WrestleMania 41, or even go ahead and voice your support in the chat about what topic you'd be interested in for Thursday. As I said earlier, it's the plane ride from hell, brother versus brother matches, my top 10 Royal Rumble moments, or just a live stream about some of the most gruesome injuries in pro wrestling. And even if, let's say you choose one that isn't selected for this week, I always keep a list and I save them. That way they will make their return in a future poll. So eventually we will discuss them. Just keep that in mind. Even if your pick doesn't win that week, it could always make a return in a future poll. Those are our Thursday streams where it's kind of like a throwback Thursday vibe, and we talk about stuff that's going on in the past or any kind of lesson or just a history type of discussion there. Mondays, of course, are like a free-for-all. We talk Monday Night Raw or whatever's going on in the world, really. Sundays are our gameplays, where we talk about wrestling and we play WWE 2K or any of the older games as well. And then throughout the week, you can expect episodes of the J Area Wrestling Podcast. You can expect clips, some reactions, some shorts, a little bit of variety for everybody. And since we're on the topic of content, there's the Main Event Mafia, the memberships. We have a lot of members already here in the chat. I mean, Tyler, Sanfran5, Gabs. We have our consistent members, individuals like Sylvia, Mama Ramos, Alex. Big shout out to all of them as well who have already, joined the Main Event Mafia. And upon joining, you get access to exclusive videos, posts, shorts, and we are working on making it like a live stream experience where it's only exclusive for members. So something to keep an eye on. That one might be like a once a month type of a deal for the live streams. Members exclusive, that might be like a once a month type of deal where we all can come together and really just talk about the nature of the channel moving forward, because I also want to give you guys a sense of power, a sense of control in terms of the content that you want to see on this channel. When deciding to create the membership, for me, it was all about giving you guys that bang for your buck and being able to say that you have a say in what goes on the channel and what's presented. I love doing the polls, love seeing the voting and the participation from all of you guys in the J area. Because again, it just reaffirms that feeling that, hey, we're doing something right because there's that sense of investment. And like I said, even if your pick doesn't win, you can always expect it's going to come back around. It'll come back around in a future poll, and maybe it'll win that time around. But yeah, an awesome time for the channel. We're growing consistently. We just recently hit 2,500 subs, and that's awesome. That's like when we first started this channel. Appreciate you, Sylvia. Shout out to Sylvia, another member of the Main Event Mafia, a diehard, a day oneer. Says a little late than normal, but here to support you. Appreciate it. I really don't think the camera, does it justice, but I do appreciate it so much. And to see you along with, Tyler, Gab, Sanfran5, AJ, Alex, Mama Ramos, everyone consistently, showing up and showing the love. Appreciate it. We're just talking about Monday Night Raw, what's going on, what happened on Raw tonight. Talking about moving forward, what other content to expect on the channel, specifically for our members of the Main Event Mafia, which is growing. I think we're up to nearly 20 members already. We had several lucky members of the J area who were gifted membership. So on occasion, during a live stream, we might do that just to give you some love, show you some love, and give you a chance to see a little sneak peek of what to expect for a membership. So, but yeah, as I was saying, 2,500 subs. When we made the switch over to pro wrestling, literally March of last year, so we're about to hit a year, we were at 149, and now a year later, we are at 2,500. That's a huge jump. That's over 2,300 subs within a year. The growth has been astronomical, and it's only continuing to move up. My goal for the end of 2025, maybe it's a reach, but if you continue to reach for the stars, sooner than later, you might be on top of the world. So we're going to keep reaching, and the goal is maybe 5,000 by the end of 2025. I'm totally okay with like something between the 3 to 4K, but I think 5 is possible if we continue to put out the level of content that we are, and hopefully attract more viewers and more members to the J area. I think we'll see us steadily grow. I mean, there's some videos that have done great in the past. I want to do a quick shout out to certain videos that like really helped us in terms of our growth. Hopefully you guys have seen them, and if you are a diehard member, I'm going to assume you have seen them. For our friends in green, I'm assuming you've seen them. But we had a Cody Rhodes edit, a short, where it showed the evolution of Cody Rhodes heading into WrestleMania 40, his big match against Roman Reigns. And like that one got over 250,000 views and a lot of subs through that. And it was just a simple, short where we're just showing the different versions of Cody throughout the course of his year. So that was a big one. We have some Rhea Ripley shorts, really did well. Rhea Ripley is very popular for good reason. And thanks to Rhea and Cody, they were able to encourage a lot of people to join us here on YouTube. That was for our shorts. For the actual like video portions, I did one on like the Wyatt Six when they had first made their debut on Monday Night Raw. We did a video where it was discussing a little bit of a background for the members of the Wyatt Six, individuals like Nikki Cross, Dexter Lumis, Eric Rowan, Joe Gacy, of course Uncle Howdy himself, Bo Dallas, and that one got I think nearly 8,000 views as well, which is one of the best videos, one of the well received videos that we've produced. So I would like to go back into doing stuff like that, kind of more background, but I do enjoy these live streams and having this interaction with you guys on a personal basis, really. Having these conversations, being able to see you guys in the chat, seeing who's in the chat and who's just interested in the topics at hand. Once again, big shout out to Gabs as well. Super appreciate the super chat. Can't thank you enough. And we're moving forward. This is awesome. I don't really get to talk about it a lot when it comes to my feelings toward the channel, because I focus a lot of the stuff that I say on the product of pro wrestling. I mean, sometimes we talk other sports like basketball and NBA, but I don't really talk about heading into the realm of YouTube. And it's become such an awesome experience. Of course, there are once in a blue moon those comments where it's like they really kind of try to put you down, and that's fine. I welcome it because it's a part of the gig, right? It's easy to say whatever you want behind the screen, behind a keyboard, but thankfully, to people like you in the chat, to people like you who are invested in the J area, you guys uplift me. I've been very fortunate to not experience a lot of hate comments. And if anything, it's not necessarily hate comments. It's more of like just criticism. And it's like, I'm okay with it. I'm down for constructive criticism. Totally down for it. Because if you're not accepting the criticism, you're not growing. I think it's important to remember. But the experience that I've had here on YouTube, especially with all of you, has been very positive. It's been encouraging. It's become a hobby that has just driven me into a much more deeper affinity for creating this content. To be able to share my perspective and my opinions and just my voice with you guys has been very fulfilling. Growing up, I'm sure a lot of people can attest to this sentiment. But growing up, we're trying to find ourselves. We're trying to figure out what is our place in this world. Who are we meant to be? And what is it that we are destined to become? So there was a long period of time there where I wasn't sure, as I'm sure a lot of you were. We question ourselves. We have that little sense of doubt in the back of our mind. Am I doing the right thing? Am I headed on the right path? Am I good enough to do this thing? Whether or not, it's YouTube or a job or college or school or whatever path you're on, you have that sense of doubt. So I didn't know. I was going around different career paths. Like there was a time where I wanted to go into the medical field. I wanted to help people. I wanted to be of service. I went ahead into like the service industry. I was waiting tables for a minute. I went to college and was able to acquire a degree in communications because I wanted to dive into a career of sports journalism, sports reporting, being able to discuss sports and just the craft that is athletics. Because I was never the athletic type. Sanfran 5 can attest to that. I look at me with glasses, right? Like I was never naturally gifted when it came to the athletic realm. But I love talking about sports. I love watching basketball, football, combat sports like boxing, pro wrestling. It's a passion. And when you're talking about your passion and you're talking about the things that you love, it no longer feels like work. So that for me was the route I was going to take. So upon completing college, upon being able to obtain that degree, you look for opportunities. You look for a chance to start something up, and you look for an opportunity just to gain experience. But a lot of places, unfortunately, they want that experience. And that was a road that was very difficult for me. And it once again opened up that wound of self-doubt. Questioning yourself, like, am I doing the right thing? Am I headed down the right path? What am I doing? So when it got to the point where you're applying for these internships, when you're applying for these jobs, and you're not getting any feedback, it's always no answer, or, hey, we appreciate your interest, but we're going to go in a different direction. It gets frustrating after a while, because you invest so much time in yourself. You invest time in school, in work, the countless hours at your job that you don't even want to be at, the countless hours reading a book and studying for finals that, hey, you really don't want to take. You start to question, am I doing the right thing? So I got to the point where it's like, you know what? I would love to go work for a place where all I'm doing is talking sports, where I'm writing, where I'm speaking, whatever form of media it is. At the point where it's like, I'm going to work for free. I would rather just work for free just to say, I've got this experience. But it got to the point where, you know what? If there's not a door that's going to be opened for you, sometimes you got to go ahead and just build your own door. And build a foundation for that door in order to say, this is my house. So that's why we went into this venture of YouTube. Right after college, I was fortunate enough to go ahead and buy this upscale laptop that really served its purpose and allowed me to have the memory, the spacing, and quite frankly, the strength to support creating content, and also basically like a work computer. I'll never forget that, because it was the day after I had graduated. It was my dad and I. We went to Best Buy. We bought the computer, and I knew in my heart, you know what? I'm going to continue to try to look for this job that's probably never going to happen. But I remember telling him, hey, if I want it bad enough, and if I can surround myself around the right people, I know I can do something with this. And what he said next just really, it sticks with me to this day. He said, I know you will. I know you will. And I know you believe that. And now you just have to make everyone else believe. So that leads us to here. And I know we talk about pro wrestling. And we were talking about the NFL. And I kind of got out of hand and went down a little bit of a wormhole here. But I pride myself in being transparent with you guys. I don't want to put up a front. I love a sport where it's all gimmicks. And it's about playing the character. But the last thing I want to do is present myself as a character and not genuine with you. So when I discuss these stories about the lead up to where we are at, it's because I want to include you. I want you to know that it is a process, that it takes time. No matter what it is that you are pursuing in your life, or things that maybe you weren't able to accomplish, it takes time. It's a process. Sanfran 5 can attest to that. Tyler's making his music, so he can attest to that. Other people in the chat who are going through things that, hey, you and I may not know. Maybe no one knows. They can attest to that. So I think it's very vital to share those interactions. And that's why when I first decided to make this channel, it was originally to just get some experience and to say, hey, I know how to create a channel. I know how to operate videos and edit videos and present a content for a widespread audience. But over time, I was able to acquire the trust and the investment of people around the world. I don't know where a lot of you guys are stationed from. I know some that are from New York, some that are in Arizona, some that are around the country. But it tells me that we are doing something right when we have the level of participation that we've had in the last couple months because of these live streams. And that's my way of just filling you guys in on where we're at. I want it to grow. And like I said, the initial thought process was, hey, I need experience, so let's just go ahead and create our own experience. But it's now changed to an opportunity to build a community with very, very cool people who have been very welcoming. They've been very respectful, because let's be real. I mean, the internet can be a ruthless place. I mean, like I said, whether you're behind a screen on your phone or on a computer, you can basically say whatever you want. But luckily enough, we have been able to grow as a community in a very positive light during a time where you could say there's a lot of negativity, not just pro wrestling related, but just in general. So I'm happy to know that you are out there and you choose to spend your time with us as a way to escape and just to hang out, just to talk, whether, like I said, whether it's pro wrestling, sports, movies, or just life. I don't know. That's my little soliloquy, my little diatribe about the lead up here. They say sometimes it's not good to hold things in, because if you hold it in, it's not healthy. I do believe in that. But I also believe in, like, hey, if you have something nice to say, or if you have something of positivity to share with other people that you care about, let them know. Let them know, because you never know when will be the next chance that you get. So, that's me, again, filling you guys in on the journey that we've been on this last, 3 years. Because that's 3 years ago is when I started up the channel. And it's been a crazy 3 years. What has happened between May of 2022 and now definitely has changed my perspective, not only in the sense of creating, videos or presenting a brand, if you will, but just as a person. Because over time, it's those moments that help you determine who you are. And we talked about at the very beginning of this little, rant, if you will, about finding ourselves. But sometimes it's not about where you end up, it's about how you get there. So, I don't mean to get too deep, but every now and then I'm due for one of those. But yeah, a Monday night live stream, dude. I look forward to these. I always try to decide, I'm like, which one do I like the most? A Thursday, a Monday, or a Sunday? I don't want to act like I'm choosing, kids here. You're not supposed to have a favorite. But each one offers just a different perspective. I mean, Sunday's an awesome time to just kick back. I get to have my brother here beside me for those live streams and just hang out. Whether it's hanging out with him, hanging out with you. Mondays are cool because it's kind of like, again, kick back. We get to talk about anything. Namely Monday Night Raw. It's what it's been basically focused on. But it really is an opportunity. I feel like Mondays are the day where we kind of really develop that connection, that we were able to really dive into our interests, our dislikes, and our likes. And then Sundays are cool too, because that's when we dive into like more of like a storytelling type of an aspect. We did the very first Thursday live was based off of the Von Erichs. If you haven't seen that, I highly encourage you take a look. It's in the archives. It's on the Thursday live stream, the Von Erich family. And then following that, we had another one on the Royal Rumble 2005 finish, of course, remembered for the botch that happened between John Cena and Batista. And then after that, of course, Vince McMahon comes out, and let's just say he couldn't walk by the end of the night. If you haven't seen that one, or if you'd like to hear more about that story and hear my perspective as well as the members of the J area in the chat, go ahead and check that out as well. That is in the archives available as well. The Royal Rumble 2005, the wild finish that it was, is available there. And we're waiting for Thursdays. I mean, as of right now, we can take a look. As of right now, we do have a poll going for Thursday's stream. And that would include the best brother versus brother matches. Of course, that would include kayfabe and real life. So we're talking Undertaker versus Kane. The Usos, which, I mean, maybe wasn't the best, but still. There's the Hardys as well, Edge and Christian, some of the best brother versus brother matches. Of course, the Harts, Owen and Brett. That's an option. Another option is infamous wrestling injuries, where we really weren't meant to see certain injuries. A lot of times during these injuries, the WWE specifically tries to pan away and not show you that. A lot of times, like for example, when I'm explaining to my family and they ask, how do you know if it's supposed to happen or not? Well, it's all in the camera work. If the camera stays on the shot, they want you to see that. But if they doesn't, then you know it wasn't supposed to happen. Third option is the plane ride from hell. We talked about that. What do you get when you have a group of restless pro wrestlers surrounded by, illegal substances and alcohol? Well, you get the plane ride from hell, and right now that's in the lead. And our fourth and final option is something Royal Rumble related. Me sharing my top 10 favorite moments in the Royal Rumble's history. A little bit of everything here in the poll. I wanted to be able to present kind of a variety. If you were interested in hearing a list, a story, matches, or the dark side of wrestling, it's a little bit of everything for everyone. And right now, as of this live stream, I'll go ahead and give you the results. Want to make sure I didn't lose you there for a second. As of right now, the plane ride from hell, that one is leading in the poll. So, if anything is to be believed, that might be the topic we're discussing. But if you haven't voted and you wanted to talk about something else, make sure you place your votes in the poll. It is in the community tab on our YouTube channel. And even if your favorite doesn't win, you do have the option to vote for it. And then maybe, more likely, it'll pop up in a future poll as well. Everyone's going to get their turn in the sun, right? Because I think a lot of these topics are worthy of a live stream. They are worthy of being discussed. Otherwise, I wouldn't include them on the poll. Part of me wants to talk about them all. Now, I won't lie to you. Are there some topics that I would like to discuss more than the other? For sure. Absolutely. But I leave it up to you. I leave the power up to you to decide what you guys want to talk about. It's his favorite catchphrase. Cody Rhodes, what do you want to talk about? We take that literal here. We take that very literal here at the J Area live stream. Hopefully on a Monday night, everyone's having a great night and you're able to unwind for the week that is ahead. I'm hoping that you enjoyed Monday. And hopefully this upcoming week will be just as pleasant if it hasn't already been. We thank you guys for joining us and spending your time here on a Monday night talking about pro wrestling, talking about just life in general, man. It genuinely is a pleasure to have you all with us here on a Monday night. And we'd like to hear from you guys on some other topics or other questions. We open the floor to you. What do you guys want to talk about? Any questions or comments that you want the other members of the J Area to hear? Of course, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. The live stream is, of course, under my name, but the topics really are up to you. You guys drive the live streams and the conversation, the discussion that carry on. And like I've said, I'm an open book. I'm a big fan of pro wrestling. It's made me who I am. It's a very, very large portion of my development as an individual. But the floor is open to just about anything. If you want to have some discussion about anything in sports, anything in entertainment, maybe advice, I don't mind. It's like I said, it's an open book. It's an open forum to everybody who is, that was my chair, to anybody who is a member of the J Area. How's everyone doing, man? I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to front. I'm feeling a little ill. I feel like I'm going to end up coming down with something. For those who had seen the episode of the J Area Wrestling Podcast, if you haven't, please do. We talk about the Saturday night's main event and what my thoughts were on it, who were some of the big stars that came out of that show. And looking back, I recorded that earlier today. And looking back, I think you can kind of tell I was under the weather, but powered through it. Got to discuss Saturday night's main event. Sanfran 5 says, who's that jumping out the sky? R-E-Y. R-E-Y. Mysterio. What a great theme song. That entrance theme, it's tough. Ray has great theme songs. I love his version now of Booyaka. But that version of his theme song is very nostalgic for us, of course, because that's what we grew up on. The early stages of his career. When he would pop out, with the, I don't know what's the proper term, but that, the elevator that popped him out of the ground. That was awesome. They don't really use it anymore. The only guy that kind of uses it is Cody at this point, and it's for like the special events like WrestleMania, where he rises out of the ground. I mean, Undertaker, of course, had it for a very long time, but that version of the Undertaker isn't really around anymore. He rides on the motorcycle, which is cool too. Because it had been so long, since 2003, since we've seen an American badass version of the Undertaker. But it's just an awesome Rey Mysterio, a Hall of Famer for sure. He's one of the few guys who has not one, but he's one of the few guys that has been in the Hall of Fame and is still active. Rightfully so. I mean, the guy just had a matchup against Xavier Woods. He can still go. Thoughts on Sting's WWE theme? Not a fan. Just not a fan. I mean, like, his WCW theme, I think, is one of the greatest themes of all time. Specifically WCW. But I think you can make the argument it's one of the best themes of all time. What I never got is the WWE had bought WCW. They owned the rights. Why not just give him back the Crow Sting theme song that he had in WCW? Instead, they went ahead and they produced a new version with a crow and all. I don't know. I just thought that was money on the table there. You didn't have to make a new song. I understand why. Because they wanted it to be like their product and not highlight someone else's work, but just create their own. I get that. But from a wrestling standpoint, from a fan standpoint specifically, it just makes more sense to just use the WCW theme. It's one of the best themes of all time. Sting is one of the greatest of all time. I've said it time and time again. Sting's my favorite WCW wrestler. And there's been a lot of them. Ric Flair, DDP, there's some, Booker T. There's some of my favorite WCW stars of all time. But Sting is just otherworldly. What he was able to do with that crow gimmick, following the introduction of the New World Order and becoming the outsider, the Avenger for WCW, the look itself with the trench coat and the all black and the white makeup, the black and white makeup, the hair, the entrance, the music. I mean, Sting was on another level in the WCW. Definitely one of the greatest of all time. Even NWO, the Wolfpack Sting with the red, that was cool too. I'm more partial to the black and white Sting, but Wolfpack Sting was cool too. And it goes without saying, I mean, he's one of the greatest of all time. Just look at his career. I mean, his time in WCW, his time in TNA, even his time in AEW. WWE was his weakest stop, I thought. It was cool seeing him there, but it had just been too long. Time had passed. It wasn't the same. We never got to see Undertaker and Sting interact. I mean, yeah, we never saw a match, of course, but we never got to see them interact. That would have been super cool. We never got to see it. Sting, of course, just recently retired last March at Revolution. He and Darby Allin would successfully defeat the Young Bucks, and he would retire a tag team champion. But, like I said, one of the all-time greats. Love to see a lot of the highlighted green. A lot of members of the Main Event Mafia here. Even Sting was a member of the Main Event Mafia. But I'd love to see it. Again, I'll never get tired of it. Big shout out to Tyler, Sanfran5, Sylvia, Gabs. all for taking part in tonight's chat, showing their representation, showing the green, the highlighted green to demonstrate and illustrate that they are members of the Main Event Mafia. But since we're on the topic of entrance themes, I'd like to hear from you guys. What are some of your favorite entrance themes? Who do you think has one of the best music themes or just entrances, really, in pro wrestling? It doesn't have to be WWE. It can be in TNA. It can be in WCW or AEW. Hell, it could be in GCW. But I'd like to hear from you guys. What's your perspective? What are your thoughts? Who do you think has the best theme song, or who's your favorite? For me, I'm a simple guy. I think Stone Cold Steve Austin has one of the greatest. Simple theme, it's effective, it sets the tone, and what really helps is the glass. When that glass breaks, you instantly know who it is. You instantly hear a pop. It does everything it needs to do. I think it's the greatest of all time. My personal favorite, I think, is CM Punk. I'm a big fan of the song Cult of Personality, the static shock at the beginning. Again, very similar to like how the Stone Cold Steve Austin theme has the glass. Punk has the little static. So effective. You know who it is. You can sing along. It's great. Cody, I think, is another great one. Sanford 5 says Bret Hart has that aura. Bret Hart has a great entrance. You know, between the guitar riff of his theme song, the gear, him handing off the glasses to members of the audience, Bret Hart is one of the greatest of all time. What a segue, too. I talked about Punk, and again, it's well known that Punk is a big fan of Bret Hart. Takes a lot of inspiration from Bret, and why wouldn't you? He's the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be, the excellence of execution. And honestly, one of the best entrances, too. For those who hopefully remember, but the time where Bret Hart was in the hallway and was making his way towards the ring, it was like a promo shot, but he was making his way to the ring, and there's a kid and his father, and the kid just yells out from a distance, "Bret!" And you see that iconic shot of the camera zooming in towards Bret as he turns around and he sees the kid, and he says, "Go get him, Hitman." And just one of the best things that the New Generation era ever produced. I know the New Generation era that ran from like 93 to 97 isn't really fondly talked about because it was a low point in the WWE. WCW was killing it with Nitro. But Bret Hart's run, I think, is one of the best, man. Shout out to Sean. What's going on? Thank you for being in the live stream. Kevin says, what's your favorite underrated matchup? By underrated, I mean a match that no one ever mentions that deserves more flowers. That's a good question. I'll get back to that right now. Sanford 5 says Gilbert. Gilbert's hilarious with the streamers. And then they had the blow up with the fire extinguishers. That's awesome. Great shout out. I have seen Young Rock. I would watch it up until it got canceled, but I have seen Young Rock. Most underrated matchup that doesn't get talked about enough. It's a great one, man. Because it's difficult because a lot of the best matches are already talked about, right? And they're the best for a reason. But the underrated ones, I'm gonna go with like a guilty pleasure one of mine. You know, one that doesn't get talked about enough. Because you'd have to dig deep, and especially with like social media, which is ever evolving, and it's always, you know, pumping out old clips and tweets about these matches that have taken place. I think, okay, maybe this isn't one. You can, you know, decide this for yourself if it counts. But I grew up a big fan of the Hardys. And everyone always talks about TLC, whether it's WrestleMania 17, whether it's the SummerSlam TLC or WrestleMania 2000 TLC. And a lot of people gravitate towards those because it had people like Edge and Christian, the Hardys, the Dudleys. I mean, of course, right? But one that I really enjoyed, and I can give you two actually, was the first ladder match between Edge and Christian and the Hardys at No Mercy 1999. It was for the services of Terry Runnels, the Terry Invitational Tournament. Everyone always jumps towards TLC, but that ladder match between the Hardys and Edge and Christian put them all on the map. It put notice that like these guys are the future, and yes, they're young, but they are something special. We talk about TLC, and I also feel like one that gets lost in the shuffle because of who's in it is TLC 3. TLC 3 was on an episode of SmackDown in 2001. Edge and Christian versus the Hardys versus the Dudleys versus Chris Jericho and Chris Benoit. It was a 4 tag team TLC matchup, notable for Chris Benoit breaking his neck in the middle of the matchup. It's rightfully so that WrestleMania 17 is the best TLC matchup, but I do really love that that third TLC matchup that included Benoit and Jericho against the Hardys, Dudleys, and Edge and Christian. I think that one doesn't get talked about enough, and it's because of Benoit, quite frankly. Because, whether we like it or not, Benoit was one of the best wrestlers of all time. And it's just, unfortunately, the way everything ended, it overrides that. We can't look past it. I saw an interview, Chris Van Vliet, shout out to Chris Van Vliet and Insight, his podcast, where he interviewed Kurt Angle. And Kurt Angle mentioned how he understands why, the treatment of Benoit is what it is and people don't talk about him or acknowledge him. But by not acknowledging Benoit, that's taking away a lot of his matches. So, for example, Kurt Angle said that he thought Benoit was his best opponent, that they had the best matches, whether it was the submission matches in 2000 or the Royal Rumble in 2003. So you take away Benoit's work, and it's taken away Angle's best matches, in his opinion. And it's a good point. Again, we don't condone what had happened, but it is one thing to realize, yeah, you're, basically erasing one wrestler. But in turn, you're erasing these other matches from the other wrestlers. Guys like a Kurt Angle, guys like Eddie Guerrero, Triple H and Shawn Michaels. I love that WrestleMania 20 triple threat match between Shawn Hunter and Chris Benoit, the main event of WrestleMania 20. But we don't get to talk about it as if it doesn't exist. And I think that's crazy that we're now, I think it's safe to say now, but I think we're in a point where there are wrestling fans who don't know Benoit or grew up not knowing about him. Because that was 18 years ago. It'll be 18 years this year. There are people graduating high school who've never seen a Benoit match live. And again, just don't know who he is because we don't acknowledge it. It's crazy perspective. Because what would I have been? I would have been 9. 9 years old when he was erased. Time flies. Time flies, man. Great question there by Kevin. Shout out to Kevin, though. Again, a real one. Always in the chat. Appreciate you. Appreciate you having you in the chat, and appreciate the question. Other underrated matchups. I mean, I know Christian Cage, obviously in AEW, had a ladder match. I love ladder matches. I don't know if you can tell. Had a great ladder match against Shelton Benjamin, TLC 2009. I feel like that one's been getting recent love as well because of the resurgence of Shelton Benjamin and Christian Cage in AEW. But again, a great showing between them as well. What about you guys? What are some of your favorite matches, whether they're underrated or not? Whether you think they're underrated, go ahead and sound off in the chat. Who are some of your favorite matches of all time? Or some just good memories of pro wrestling. I know for me, pro wrestling has always given me good memories. I've always looked at it as an opportunity of escapism to get away from whatever it is in the real world, whether it's work, school, or anything in our personal lives. I mean, a lot of great memories with pro wrestling. I'd love to hear from you. What are some memories that really stick out for you and that took you out of a loop there, and you look fondly back upon? I'm gonna cast a poll because I was watching some YouTube, which is basically homework, I guess, because we have a YouTube channel, and I've seen that there are some creators out there who basically host like a live stream and it's like a read along. I would love to do a watch along, but because of copyright laws and those rules and regulations, I'm not trying to get in trouble with YouTube. But behind me, in all of my videos, you can see there's a book called There's Just One Problem. It is a book by Brian Gewirtz, who was the head writer of the WWE for I think 20 something, for 20 years maybe. Because I know it was like 99-ish, and then up until maybe 2012-ish, he, stopped. Because he works with The Rock. He works with The Rock's $7 per production. He made a book where just describing his time behind the scenes, working for the WWE as a writer, his relationships with Vince, his relationships with the wrestlers. I think it's one of the best books I've read specifically for pro wrestling. I don't know if it's something that you guys have read or you would be interested in, but I'm going to drop in the poll here. Would you guys be interested in every now and then me just reading from the book? It's basically a free read at this point. You guys don't even have to pay for the book. I'll read it. I genuinely enjoy this book. It's entertaining. It's a easy read, meaning it's not convoluted, it's not too complex. And if you're a fan of pro wrestling, you're going to get a lot of the references that he makes in this book. So I'm going to drop in the poll. Basic yes or no. Would you guys be interested in that? And like, please be honest. Like, if it's something you're interested in, vote for it. If it's something, hey, you know what, it's not for me, I don't really want to hear reading about a book, feel free to put no. It doesn't hurt my feelings. At the end of the day, I just want to hear feedback from you guys. If it is something you're interested in, go ahead and voice that in the chat. I think it's a really good book. I enjoy the stories. It gives you a look behind the scenes in terms of how it's presented from a writing perspective, the relationships with the wrestlers. Again, specifically his relationship with Vince and The Rock and that. So if it's something you're interested in, please vote in the poll there, and we might have that ready for a future live stream. Kevin says, yo, San Fran, I watched Angle versus Benoit, the match you recommended that I watch. Dude, that's a solid 5-star match. That was true wrestling. Yeah. Benoit and Angle. I mean, which one did he recommend? Was it the 2003 one or the 2000 one? Because those guys always had bangers. If my memory serves, I believe it was in 2001, WrestleMania 17. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's the one he had recommended. But again, they had great matches. And even if it wasn't WrestleMania 17, they had a great match at the Royal Rumble 2003 for the WWE title. That one is a great watch as well. Both. I mean, those guys rarely had any bad matches. I don't know if you're familiar with their matches against Edge and Rey Mysterio. No Mercy 2002. It was a WWE Tag Team title matchup. In fact, it was for the WWE Tag titles, like the inaugural. The first time that championship would be available. It was between Kurt and Chris Benoit against the team of Edge and Rey Mysterio. Again, that's No Mercy 2002. I believe it was in Little Rock, Arkansas. I recommend that match. It's one of the best tag matches I've seen. I would have placed it in that list of underrated matchups, but I don't feel like it's underrated. I feel like a lot of people talk about it and they're fans of it. Again, Edge and Rey Mysterio versus Benoit and Kurt Angle, No Mercy 2002 for the WWE Tag Team titles. I highly recommend that. It's a great era for SmackDown. It was the SmackDown 6, of course, when it was those 4 members, and then, of course, including Chavo and Eddie Guerrero. So, for those of us in the chat who has never seen that matchup, dude, do yourself a favor, fire up Peacock or YouTube. It might be on YouTube. I'm not sure if they've uploaded that on WWE Vault. Which, shout out to WWE Vault. I mean, that YouTube channel constantly putting out gems. I mean, that YouTube channel has some great matches. And a lot of matches I haven't even seen. I pride myself in being able to say I've seen a lot of pro wrestling. But with that channel, there are some matches I've never seen. And I love when they put up stuff from like WCW and ECW because that was before my time. I wasn't able to watch that. So to go back and watch that on this channel, the WWE Vault, awesome. Transports you back in time. Again, we have a poll in the chat here. I saw some other content creators doing like a read along when it comes to books. Some people read nonfiction or they read fiction or whatever. The book behind me is There's Just One Problem. It's a book by Brian Gewirtz, who was the head writer of the WWE for quite some time. It provides a little bit of an insight in pro wrestling as well as his relationship with Vince and the wrestlers. If that's something you're interested in me talking about, man, I would love to discuss that with you and read it because it really is a good book. Kevin says, what do you think went wrong with Corbin? He just seems like an absolute unit. And dude, Baron Corbin. So I remember his lone wolf gimmick in NXT, the black and gold NXT. Really cool presentation. Had like the biker look. Again, very, like you said, he's very tall. He looked like a unit. A former NFL, well, I wouldn't say NFL star, but he played for the NFL. Had a lot of potential. In fact, he won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal back in 2016. It was his debut on the main roster. What went wrong? I don't know, man. I mean, I feel like his personality early on wasn't it. But over time, he really settled in. He became a real big heel when it came to the Constable Baron Corbin. He became King Corbin. His work as Sad Corbin was fantastic. I know a lot of people look back fondly on Sad Corbin before he went to Happy Corbin. And then I really enjoyed his NXT stuff. When he went to NXT, it really revitalized the momentum that he had lost over the course of his career. He, along with the likes of like Braun Breaker, when they were the tag team champions, I thought that was awesome. I thought they were going to call them both up to the main roster. Obviously, that wasn't the case. But he was really building up momentum there. And then, when the releases came, he ended up leaving the WWE and he's hitting the independent scene, and we wish him the best. But one thing that always sticks out for me was that Money in the Bank cash-in. He wins the he wins the contract in 2016. Or 2017. I got my year off because he debuted in 2016. In 2017, he wins the Money in the Bank contract, guaranteeing him a championship opportunity for whatever time that he chooses. And he's looking to cash in, but John Cena prevents him. And it was a rare cash in. It was a heel on heel. He was cashing in on then WWE champion Jinder Mahal. And it was unsuccessful. They basically gave him the the Damian Sandow treatment where you cash in and you lose. And he never quite recovered. He would go on to win like the United States Championship. Of course, we talked about the NXT Tag Team Championships. But following that, it just never was the same. He had a feud with Seth Rollins in 2019 for the Universal Championship. But by then, he was a heel to the point where it was like go away heat. It wasn't like good heat where it's like, oh, he's a villain and we don't like him. It was like, we just don't care. It was a rare pairing with Lacey Evans. And I think what was wrong is he kind of was saying yes to a lot of things. And I get it. You don't want to ruffle any feathers. You want to make sure you're in the good graces of those in power. But it's like they did have something with Baron Corbin, and they just kept using him for this comedic stuff. You guys remember the dog food with Roman Reigns? I really think NXT, though, that second run where he was with Braun Breaker, that was some of his best work. Revitalizing his career, regaining momentum, and he just decided to bet on himself. That's what it sounds like. I recently listened to his interview with Chris Van Vliet. Again, I'm a big Chris Van Vliet mark. I love his podcast. I love listening to his interviews. And he voiced his opinion on it. That he wanted to bet on himself and work on himself and work on the indies under his real name, Tom. I think eventually we could see him back in WWE. I think maybe he makes a stop in TNA. And then through their partnership, reappears in WWE. I think that's very much a possibility. But Corbin was starting to grow on me. I liked him in NXT, and the main roster kind of followed off. But then, towards the end, he was growing on me. Sanford 5, fun fact, the Corbin with dog food was going to be my profile for YouTube until... That's hilarious. I remember watching that, dude. What a cringe moment. Damian Sandow was a crazy throwback. I was middle school during those times. Curtis Axel. Yeah. Damian Sandow, I remember, was like a big reference to like the Genius, who was Lanny Poffo, the brother of Randy Savage. And Damian Sandow was good. I mean, his promos were great. His character work was great. That's like when he won the Money in the Bank back in 2013. I was kind of surprised. Had a good feud against Cody Rhodes because they were breaking up the Rhodes Scholars, and he cashed in on John Cena and lost. And then after that, it just, again, they lost the briefcase and they lost momentum. And pretty soon, before you knew it, his next gimmick was an imitator. He was the stunt double for The Miz, and he got over. I gotta plug in my charger. He did get over with that gimmick. Curtis Axel was never gonna make it. And I don't mean that like maliciously or in any way to trash Curtis Axel, but one, the son of Mr. Perfect. They paired him up with Paul Heyman, and that didn't even work. And then before you knew it, he was stuck with the Social Outcasts. He was doing Axelmania. He was never treated as a credible star. He was always going to be mid to lower on the card. So, but I believe he was the first father-son pair of Intercontinental Champions in the WWE. So he has that for going for him. But I remember Curtis Axel when he was Michael McGillicuddy. Do you remember him as Michael McGillicuddy? During the early NXT days. I'm talking when NXT was still a competition show. Look up Curtis Axel's Michael McGillicuddy promo, where it was the genesis of McGillicuddy. It's bad. It's a bad promo. Not a good way to start his career. I see we got some votes here for the poll in terms of the live stream, a read-along for the book back here. There's just one problem by Brian Guwartz. It's a good read. It's a fascinating read. A lot of insight in regards to the writers' room, the relationship with Vince, the relationship with The Rock, as well as Wrestler's Court. It talks about Wrestler's Court. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and place your vote. We have 5 votes saying yes, and like I said, you can be honest in the votes. If you're not interested, feel free to put no. Doesn't hurt my feelings. I would much rather you be honest and open with us, because it really does help in terms of what you guys want to see. But we're seeing 100% of votes with Brian Go Words. And if it's something you're interested in, I would love to do more read-alongs. There's plenty of pro wrestling books out there. I mean, people like McFoley, Chris Jericho, a lot of people with books. I think Becky Lynch has one that I haven't read, but I would like to. I'm a fan of the man. That'd be kind of cool. Almost like a little book club. I used to be a big reader, and then over time I just didn't read as much, but I used to be a big reader. Once again, shout out to everybody in the chat here. Joining us on a Monday night or a Tuesday morning, just depending where you're from and where you are stationed at. Once again, I want to give out a major thanks to our members of the Main Event Mafia. People like Tyler, Gabs, super thanks for the super chat again. I can't thank you enough for that. San Fran 5 as well. We said Tyler. So big shout out to everybody there. I'm trying to scoop my chair in here. But on a Monday night, of course, we do have our Thursday night live stream around the corner. We have our poll up in the community tab. Those 4 options include the plane ride from hell. We have the best brother versus brother matches. The other topic is a list of the top 10 Royal Rumble moments in the whole event's history, my personal list. And our last item on the poll is just a deep dive into some of the more infamous pro wrestling injuries of all time. So if you're interested in any one of those topics, please go ahead and place your vote in the community tab so that you can have a say in what we're going to discuss on Thursday night's live stream. We're going to be going live here for just another 10 minutes or so. So anything you'd like to ask or anything you'd like to add to the conversation, please do so in the chat. Of course, if you have any other comments or questions that you'd like to include on the channel, feel free to comment on any one of the videos. I do see them all. I think that's super awesome. One thing I would love to incorporate on future podcasts or even an episode or just a regular video is including your guys' comments or questions, whether they're hot takes, whether it's a Q&A. I would love to see some questions in the comment section or in the community tab. And then I'll have a video where I can answer those and address them in future content there. But of course, it's up to you. If there's any questions you'd like to ask, that's why we have the comments. That's why we have the live streams. It's very much driven by you guys. So, like I said, we're going to be live here for another few minutes on a Monday night. And then please feel free also to place your vote in the poll there in the chat. We're thinking about doing a read-along for There's Just One Problem by Brian Gewertz, inside look into the writer's room in the WWE. But the Royal Rumble, just around the corner. Arguably my second favorite, not even arguably, my second favorite show of the year. Right behind WrestleMania. You get to see a lot of the stars of today meeting the stars of tomorrow, and even a chance of seeing some old faces pop in here and there for either Royal Rumble. I'm curious to see what kind of surprises we're going to see. We haven't really seen a lot of surprises these last two Royal Rumbles. They've been very much heavy on the current roster, which is cool too. I think that's great, highlighting the talent you have now. But it's always fun to see a little bit of a surprise. Maybe we'll see some returns, like AJ Styles. AJ Styles has been out for a minute there. Randy Orton, another possibility to make his return at the Royal Rumble. Will they win? I don't think so. But hey, it would be awesome to see them. It's been a minute since we've seen them. We've had some injuries here. People like Randy Orton, AJ Styles. A little bit of an unfun fact. All members of Damage Control are currently out, with the exception of Io Sky. Dakota Kai out with a concussion. Asuka has been out for quite some time. And then Kairi Sane, I believe it was her leg, if I'm not mistaken. All out indefinitely. So Io is the last remaining member of Damage Control who's not injured. And we saw her interaction with Bayley. Of course, they have history there. Bayley won the Royal Rumble last year. Defeated Io at WrestleMania 40 to win the WWE Championship. So a little bit of history there. And Io even said, I'll see you next Saturday. So that'll be an interesting interaction. Also, a little bit of housekeeping. If you haven't seen the episode of the J Area Wrestling Podcast, please do so, where I recap and share my opinion on this past weekend's Saturday night's main event. You can also watch this upcoming Wednesday. We're going to have a Royal Rumble prediction video where I share my predictions for each match that's currently scheduled. Also, keep an eye out for clips. We have clips from the podcast, clips from the live streams as well. And of course, our live stream on Thursday, where we're going to talk about the topic of your choice. We have the poll up, whether it's the Plane Ride from Hell, brothers versus brother matchup, the wrestling injuries, or my top 10 favorite Royal Rumble moments. Those are all in the poll. Make sure you vote, and then check out Thursday's live stream where we will discuss the winning topic. Shout out to Leon, the King. What's up, man? Appreciate you stopping by on the live stream. Sanford Five says, thoughts on Chris Jericho right now? I'm over it. I'm over Jericho. Is he one of the best of all time? Yeah. But the learning tree, it's wearing out its welcome. I think the best thing for Chris Jericho is to take a break. He needs to take a break, take some R&R, rest and relax, go on tour with Fozzy, go spend some time with the family, give us a chance to miss you. That's my biggest thing with Jericho. You can't overstay your welcome. Sometimes when you're at a party and you're having a great time, you're hanging out with some friends, you're hanging out with family, having a great time, but you never want to be the last guy at the party, because then whoever's hosting it is like, okay, wrap it up, go home. You don't want to overstay your welcome. And Jericho's at that point where he's almost tarnishing his legacy. Chris Jericho's one of the all-time greats. But the fan reception's not good right now. It's go away heat. People are chanting, please retire. That's not being a good heel. That's just bad. And I hate to see that, because I grew up a big fan of Y2J. But I mean, hey, who am I to tell a man what to do with his career? If he thinks he can still go, then I'm not the one to tell him otherwise. But I am a fan of Jericho. These last couple of years have been very tough time for Jericho fans. Leon says that Raquel should win the Women's Rumble. Interesting pick here. Now, what I think would be interesting, Raquel, if Liv Morgan was the champion, they could have easily done a Diesel Shawn type of deal where Liv's the champion, Raquel wins, and challenges Liv Morgan for the title. Now, because Rhea Ripley defeated Liv Morgan, you can still run that program with Raquel versus Rhea. I think in terms of size, it is something of interest. In terms of style, I don't know if it's going to complement each other well. I think people are just done with the whole Judgment Day versus Rhea Ripley storyline. It's been going on for a year now. So now that we've had Liv versus Rhea seemingly placed in the rearview mirror, I don't think they're going to go back with Raquel and just basically rehash the whole thing. I think it'd be interesting in the future. Maybe not right now. But maybe Raquel faces her like at SummerSlam or something like that. I definitely think that's a possibility. I don't know about right now. As for my predictions for the Women's Royal Rumble winner, stay tuned for Wednesday's video where I'm going to share my predictions as to who's going to win that matchup. Raquel is an interesting point, definitely an interesting choice, and there is a little bit of logic there, and you know we're voices of reason. We're very much fans of logic here when it comes to the J area, so it makes logical sense. But again, from the standpoint of how they book these things, I think we're going to wait quite some time. We've seen Rhea in the Judgment Day for, again, an excessive amount of time. Have her face someone else. And then revisit the Raquel stuff. I think we'll probably see Raquel face Liv before we see Raquel versus Rhea. I really do. That's a great question, though, Liam. Great question. How would you book Karrion Kross? It feels the WWE has nothing for him to do. You know, I actually like the Karrion Kross stuff. Because with Karrion Kross, it's a bit of a slow burn. Won't lie to you. But I do kind of like the idea that Karrion Kross is, almost placing curses on all of our favorite stars. I mean, you saw with Drew McIntyre, he was the first feud. Drew McIntyre then dives into madness and becomes obsessed with the bloodline and, of course, the CM Punk stuff. We saw him interact with Rey Mysterio, who eventually gave in and decided, you know what, yes, I will fight Dominic, testing his patience. His stuff with the New Day and now their heels. I like the Karrion Kross stuff. I'm very interested to see what we're doing with Sami Zayn, though. Sami Zayn has been a babyface for quite some time now. I think having Karrion Kross kind of rub shoulders with guys like Sami Zayn and Seth Rollins, that gives him a little bit of a rub to place him in the main event scene, which I think he's very much due for. Karrion Kross in NXT was awesome. Main roster stuff, not so much. But I would very much like to see him continuing to, the slow burn as like that devil character in the WWE, kind of placing these curses on our top stars, eventually getting to the top and maybe facing a guy like Cody Rhodes. I could definitely see him facing off against Cody Rhodes. But I think right now we're in that entry point where he's now kind of penetrating through into the main roster, or the main event scene, I should see. We're going to start seeing him with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I think that's the eventual point we're going to reach, where we're talking about his friends over his career. That's been the main theme here for Sami Zayn. Are you willing to put your friends over your own career? His best friend is Kevin Owens. Well documented. So we're going to see him maybe turn on Kevin. Is he going to be a heel? I don't think so. Because we've seen with like Rey Mysterio, Rey didn't turn heel. He just lost that patience. So Sami is number one. That's who we're going with next. Then I can see Karrion moving up to like a Jey Uso or like a Cody Rhodes. I think eventually rising to the top. I don't think he wins the world title. I really don't. But I would like to see him more with those guys. The Cody Rhodes, the Jey Usos, those type of star power. Kevin brings up Speed versus Kai Cenat at SummerSlam. Hey, maybe we won't have to wait that long and it can be at the Royal Rumble. Maybe WrestleMania. But I do think that's funny, them promoting Kai Cenat and Speed at the Royal Rumble and giving them free range to stream whatever they want. And I like the tease of a little bit of an interaction between the two at the Rumble. I think that's smart. You want to be able to cross-promote into the mainstream, and you have two of the biggest streamers in the whole world, and you're going to have them at the Royal Rumble? That's really smart. I'm into it. I think it's going to be really entertaining. I just hope that they don't go in the Rumble. The WWE has had a history of placing celebrities in the Rumble. Don't do it. I really hope they don't. But I am down for some backstage shenanigans between IShowSpeed and Kai Cenat. But yeah, keep an eye out. We're going to have our Thursday live stream. Make sure you place your votes. We're going to have clips, shorts throughout the week. Royal Rumble just around the corner. So you know we're going to do that prediction video. If you haven't seen the episode of the podcast, it's a little bit of a recap and a review of the Saturday night's main event. So I'd very much love if you guys can go ahead and show some love there. Keep in mind, San Fran 5 will be having a live stream Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. They're going to be having a live stream. They have a poll up as well, where you have a choice of what you're going to watch. There is Resident Evil, Halo, SmackDown Shut Your Mouth, and SmackDown vs. Raw. So the link is in the description of this video, and it's also at the bottom of our homepage on YouTube. So please show some love there as they go on live. Not to get political, but JBL would be cooking with the political climate of the country right now, especially with... Dude, JBL is a great heel and a great character. JBL would kill it in any era, but definitely in today's world, JBL would be a top heel. If you can get rid of 4 PLEs, which ones? I would keep Elimination Chamber, but change it to No Way Out. I agree. I like the No Way Out name better. I was never really a fan of them naming the shows after the matchup. The only exception, of course, is like the Royal Rumble or Money in the Bank. Like, those are fine. But I do miss like No Way Out. I think that would be definitely. If you can get rid of 4 PLEs, I would keep Royal Rumble, of course, naturally. I agree with you in changing No Way Out and Elimination Chamber. WrestleMania stays. Backlash is fine. We have King of the Ring. I like King of the Ring. Crown Jewel and... Yeah, Crown Jewel I would move away from. But I know they have their deal. Crown Jewel, I believe, is like in October, November-ish. I would get rid of that one. That's one. I wouldn't get rid of SummerSlam or Survivor Series, of course. Money in the Bank, maybe. Because I was always a fan of the Money in the Bank at WrestleMania. I always loved that one. So I might get rid of Money in the Bank and just put that at WrestleMania as like a multi-man matchup and a great way to put a lot of guys on the card. And now that WrestleMania is 2 nights, you can do 1 night for the women, 1 night for the men. So I might get rid of it. Money in the Bank and just put it on Mania. So that leaves us with, I said Money in the Bank, Crown Jewel. Those would be the 2 for sure. I can't see myself getting rid of the other ones, though. King of the Ring is fine. I actually like that. Backlash is fine. Clash at the Castle, I'm fine with that. I think it'd just be the 2, to tell you the truth, Leon. I can't think of the others. Sanford 5 says, as of right now, Resident Evil 4, the remake, is in the lead for tomorrow's stream. Yeah. That's what I voted for. Sanford 5 also says, favorite JBL feud other than Cena and Eddie. Wow. Because those are his 2 best ones. I like the stuff with Ray. It was basically against any Hispanic. One thing I'm surprised they never did was give him a feud with Ron. Him and Farouk never had a feud. But that would have been interesting. I mean, to answer your question, though, other than Cena and... I think it'd have to be Ray. I'd have to say Ray. Ray did retire him twice, technically, in 2006 and in 2009. Saturday night's main event, I don't consider it a premium live event. That's like a TV special. I wouldn't consider it. Making it a Mania match makes more sense. Yeah, because it's just like the ultimate, like, free match. And what I mean by free match is, like, you can throw in 6 to 8 of your best talent and have an entertaining matchup there. I think it's... I liked when it was WrestleMania 21 to 26. And it was just the ladder match of WrestleMania. And like I said, being 2 nights, 1 for the men, 1 for the women. And it's a great way to get multiple members of the roster onto the card. I'm not upset that it's its own premium live event. That's fine. But that's what I would do. King of the Ring was great. I love a good tournament. That's why I wouldn't take it away. But you could also take away the King of the Ring event and just keep the tournament somewhere else. You could do that. So it's like, do you really need the event? Because you can literally call it whatever you want and just say, okay, and the finals are at SummerSlam, or the finals are at Clash at the Castle. Really good questions there by Leon, Kevin, and San Fran. Really good questions. We're going to go live here for just another 5 minutes. We're going to start wrapping up here. Just want to give you guys that heads up. But I love the discussion. Love the interaction here. And I just realized the poll itself, doubled. We had like 5 votes. And we're now at 11 votes, all unanimously saying, yeah, you'd be interested in that read along. And I mean, that's awesome. And like I said, it doesn't hurt my feelings if you guys said no. It's really what you guys want to hear, what you guys want to see. But I love that you guys are interested in it. That's something I could definitely incorporate in a future live stream. I don't want to take away from like the Sunday, Monday, and Thursday. So I might just include that on a separate day. Just make up another day for that live stream. But that's awesome. And then I'll basically go by chapter. I don't want to do too much, but and allow you guys that opportunity to like voice your opinion and what I read, and whether or not you want to keep moving forward. We'll go on a chapter by chapter basis. It's not that long of a read either. Like when I got that book, I read it all in one day. It's that good of a book, I thought. Plus it'd be cool because we like talking about the backstage politics of pro wrestling and what goes on behind the scenes, and that book really does give you a lot of interesting stories and perspectives in terms of that. And again, if you are familiar with the WWE, you're going to know a lot of these names, and you're going to get to know a lot of these stories, and it kind of all adds up in the end. So it's a good read. You get to hear stories about Vince, Paul Heyman, The Rock, Edge and Christian. So I'm very much hopeful and looking forward to that as a possible live stream in the near future. But as we bring this live stream to a close, I just want to give out a major shout out again to our members of the Main Event Mafia who showed up for tonight. San Fran 5, of course, Gabs, Sylvia, Tyler. You guys are the best, man. I appreciate the love, appreciate the support. Gabs, again, super thank you for the super chat. You are the MVP, and I could never imagine having so much support from you guys, and I appreciate it very much so. Shout out to Kevin, Leon the King as well for your guys' participation. Sean, shout out to you as well. Muhammad, thank you guys. AJ, I always like to make sure that I give you guys the proper shout out. Martin as well, got to give out a shout out to Martin for again showing up for the live stream. Make sure to keep an eye out. Wednesday we're going to have the Royal Rumble predictions video. Thursday is going to be the live stream. Make sure you place your vote. That way you can say you had a hand in determining the topic, as well as another live stream on Sunday. And then, apparently the people are interested in it, a read-along live stream for There's Just One Problem by Brian Goodwords. It's a good read. I'm looking forward to it. We got 16 votes in there already, man. 100% of you guys are interested in it, so we're going to make it happen. Keep an eye out. The community tab, of course, is the place to be for those updates, whether it's the live streams, whether it's the Main Event Mafia, or any other information for updates on the channel. Look at the community tab. Make sure your notifications are on, so that way you stay notified when I go live or when a new video is published. And if you haven't already, take a look on Twitter and on TikTok. We are at JAreaPod. You can follow us there. I have videos on TikTok, and I'm getting more active on Twitter. Again, at JAreaPod _ on Twitter, at JAreaPod on TikTok. So make sure you give us a follow. That way you can stay up to date with all the content that is being produced on all social medias. We're trying to get out there. We're trying to continue to build the J area and the Main Event Mafia as big as we can, because it's a hell of a community that we've been able to produce so far. With that being said, major thank you to everybody here. Can't express my appreciation enough. Thank you so much. The next time you'll see me live is on Thursday night. So with that being said, my name is Jose Ramos Jr. Appreciate you guys spending your time with us here on tonight's live stream. And of course, with that being said, everyone have a great night / great morning. Hope you enjoy the rest of your week. And everyone, be safe out there and be cool.